Today, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to take this truck from patina to painted, but I also want to get rid of these ugly ass chains. And these booties hold water the way I did it. If you do this, you got to at least cut them in half so that because they've been trapping water on the chain. But I kind of liked the original look at first when I was keeping it patina, but now if I'm going to do all this paint and body work, I'm going to clean this up, take them off. I'm going to mount these cables on the tailgate. That's what this video is going to be about. I bought some steel plate. It's 3/16. I thought cold would be a little too heavy, and I saw the thickness of this, so I felt like it was pretty close. I got my tools laid out, tape measure, paint marker, some drill bits, step drills, angle grinder for cutting some of this. I wish I had my larger one. I didn't bring it with me today. We'll try to get by with the small one, cutting this plate. Should be a little bit of fun. This will get hot and shut off and stuff, but with patience, it'll do it. When you mount these cables are from an S10. When you mount these cables, the only thing that's important is you don't have them in the same place, because then when it closes, they're going to be in the same area. So you want one higher and one lower. That's how it works in my engineering training. So it has a quick connect on one end. I bought the set that comes with that quick connect bolt, which would be kind of handy, I think. So all we got to do is take some measurements, figure out where we want to mount this cable at. I have the chain on the right side, so I'm in about the right place. It's probably a tiny bit down. I could probably lift it up about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. But perfection is not the goal with this truck, as you might know. We're just looking for clean, shiny. It'll be pretty cool, especially from 10 feet away. So let's get started. We're going to make some measurements, make some cuts. Now I know this cable's about 16 inches, I believe, end to end. It's 16 inches end to end. Eyelet to eyelet is 14 3/8. But I'm not going to use my tape measure when I got the cable I'm going to mount right here. What I do want to do is use my tape measure to make sure these two distances aren't the same. What I want to avoid, like I said, is the same distance from here to here. So if this is 10.5, I don't want to be 10.5 here. And then when this closes, it's going to go like this. It's going to want to cross and be higher or be lower. So we got to really be careful about figuring out where we're going to mount these things, because my plan was to weld this plate to the bed, because the bed's a single panel. It's doubled out here, but as soon as you go past this bump, it's single panel. When the tailgate closes, this is going to want to turn a little bit, and the cable's going to want to go out that way. What I want is, when I close the tailgate, this is going to be floating. It's going to be, you know, snug but not tight, so it can pivot. I want the tailgate to kind of do this, and the cable will kind of be inside here somewhere. The tailgate stops here, and I'm going to mount this to here so there's no interference. If this is lower, when this closes, it's going to loop the cable out, and then it'll be in the way, and things aren't going to be happy when you try to close it. We don't want that. As long as I make my brace pretty strong, this is a very strong tailgate, probably won't be an issue. So let's do that. I think that's going to be the best course of action. This is all experimental. I've looked at some kits. They're just way too expensive. You buy someone else's prefabricated kit, you still got to do an awful lot of welding and cutting and drilling and things, but you spend $300 or so. I bought these cables for 16 bucks, and I bought these plates for $8. So, and the cables came with those. I'll need some hardware for this side, and I'll have like less than 30 bucks in it. So, but I do got to do some hot rod calculations, like Rat Rod Bob would say. This is going to be about 10 inches, and that is almost 11. So I'm going to need to probably snake this up just a little bit. Let's mark it there. What I'll do is, my plan was to drill and tap this. I'm not sure how thick these bed stake pockets are, but it looks to me like this is plenty thick. If this whole piece is this thick, I'll know after I drill it. I might be able to put a nut cert in there, or just tap it, depending on how many threads there are. This one goes on the bottom, and the larger eyelet goes on the top. And the reason for that is the offset in this. If you try to put this end on the bed of the truck, then this has to be backwards for that linkage to help you out for that eyelet. The eyelet's going to fight you this way because it's going to want to be too close over here. You'll have to go way over here, which I guess you could do that if you really wanted to have this on top, but it just makes sense to me this way because of this bend. You could also get a hammer and straighten it out, I suppose, but I'm hoping this is hardened a little bit. That's why it won't straighten out when the tailgate takes leverage. I've got some of these seat belt bolts, but they're a little long. They're a little sloppy in here, but they're going to work fine for how often I'm going to have this tailgate open. And if it bothers me, I can always adjust the size. I can always machine a bushing to go in there, or I can use like a brass or copper bushing or something. But these washers will take up the play, so it won't be too sloppy. We'll see how it works. You can also buy these with any length shoulder you want. You can buy them with any head you want, but it's just a shouldered bolt. This is my thinking. It's going to go like this, and then I'll have a washer in here for stability this way. I might need to find a little slightly heavier duty version, but we can mock it up with this and change it later on, which means it's permanent. But let's drill and tap a hole in our mark and see how thick that metal is. He's got a fake siren on his roof, on his van, so it sounds like a police car. Looks like there was a wind siren. Let's drill and tap this hole and see what it looks like. I can mount all that up, and then I'll figure out exactly where this plate will go, where I want to weld it second. That way, instead of measuring everything out and welding everything and hoping it's right, like I said, I got it right here. Mount one side and then sort out where the other one goes. The custom stuff's cool. I'm going to drill a pilot hole first. I also want to, where the shoulder, where the head of this bolt is, I don't want it interfering, and I don't want this eyelet interfering with the tailgate either, so that's going to determine my distance. So I need to be a little ways in. Let's make a new mark. We need some clearance, Clarence. Same height, should be good. It's what you might call redneck engineering, or whatever you like to call it, but also when we find out how thick this is. It's heavy sheet metal, so we will need to put something in the back of that. We'll put a nut cert in there, I believe. Let's get the nut cert kit. It's a Vevor nut rivet set, or some call them riv nuts, nut rivets, whatever you want to call them. Makes you happy. I'm good with that. We're going to call it a riv nut. I need a 3/8 course that matches the hardware. I put the correct adapter in here. I wouldn't say Vevor would mislabel those, but just in case, I'm going to check my threads before I go ahead and sink them into the panel. They're snug, but they're right. If it was the wrong pitch or something, or metric, it would go half a turn or so and stop. So that's good. Set up that tool. Got to drill the appropriate hole so that these are snug. It's got to sit in the panel flush like this, and the riv nut tool will crush this all the way in. It puts like a giant washer on the back. They can pull out. It's not something you want to do like for brake caliper mounting, but for something like this, it's fine. If you got friends that jump on your tailgate, maybe not, or if you're going to put a gun safe or something on the tailgate, you could have a problem. But for a classic show truck, perfect. Swap our tool over. Rosie the Riveter. You squeeze this handle and these threads will collapse in, but we're not quite ready for that. The handy dandy Vevor guide says 33/64 or 13 millimeter. I got a 1/2 inch. I'm going to see how good it fits after I drill it out. I can always make it slightly larger. Can't make it smaller though. Put a little bit of machinist oil on here. Definitely needs to go just a touch larger, which the step drill should handle. One size up. That'll work. Now you can also over crush these, so you got to be careful. They do weird things if you go too crazy crushing it in. That's going to be perfect. I'm going to mount up the cable and we'll see where the other end's going to go. Need to get an Allen and get it past the shoulder so it's not flopping around too much. I think that's a 1/4 inch. Call that good. Now I know exactly where this needs to go, the height and everything. I should be fine there. If I mount it on this side, it's all going to come past the bed, no problem. Thinking what I'll do is something like this, and this will mount like this, and I'll have a nut and a bolt on the other side. Cut this and weld it to the panel on it with a triangular piece like that, so I can cut it whatever height I really want. Probably the lower the better, but I want this to clear. Let's measure that height. Now it's gonna slide all the way down to here. I'm gonna get it close. It's gonna be good, trust me. So this is going to be, I want this 1 inch and 1/8. And I'm don't do that. Gonna mark my bed. That's going to be right there. I could even go, like I said, I wanted to raise the tailgate slightly. So I'm going to the further in hole, which I think will be perfect because I can have the cable just do this, and I can run that down in this part of the bed. It's going to hurt the paint on the outside, but that's why I'm doing it before it's painted. Should be perfect. So now that's from this hole. So I want to go, try not to spill this all over the black again, because white and black are high contrast. Looks like someone was in a rush while they were working on it. So if I go right in between, that's my sweet spot. Now I can cut both sides. I'll cut both these pieces and have them ready to go. It's going to be fun cutting this with the little Milwaukee. It's got a battery for it. Got the big 6 amp hour. Let's see. It was a lot quicker for you than it was for me. Alright, I've got it cleaned up. I've got it marked. I put the cable in the bracket, cleaned off the edges for welding, got it marked where I want it. I gave the tailgate a little tilt up, just the tiniest little bit, just like this. I want it right on the corner basically, so I can clear here, have the right height, have the most strength because it's on a rounded panel, so that'll be a little stronger than if it was on a flat. I think it'll be just like that. I don't want the cable nearby to take any heat. So let's get to welding. Now, since we're welding very thick metal to sheet metal, although this is like 16 gauge sheet metal, still, this is 4 times thicker. So I want to focus my weld on this panel and have it also melt into the sheet metal. If you go to the sheet metal mostly, then it's going to blow through before it welds the larger piece, if that makes sense. Now, I'm no expert welder. I've figured this stuff out over the years on my own, and that'll show in the results, but we're shooting for good enough, and I think it's going to be good enough. Nice and straight, lined up. Now it's going to destroy that paint outside, but I'm not worried about warping. I'm not worried about the paint. I want a good, solid weld. Oh, I forgot this thing has problems with the tip. I didn't get any. Okay, we'll work it out. Alright, let me work on the welder a little bit. I had to do this last time for a day in a shop video. The welder doesn't see any maintenance if I don't do it, and we're out of parts and stuff, so we gotta come up with something. I ground the tip flat, cleaned it up a little bit. Hopefully it'll work for the rest of this job. We need more tips. We're out of them. I'll give you a tip. Don't play the horses and don't breathe underwater. When the welder's feeding right, it welds good, but it's hard to work with a welder that's not 100%. Welder not working, welder working. If you can't be a good welder, at least be a good grinder. All right, it's gonna have to work. I'm gonna clean it up a little more. I won't torture you making you watch the whole thing. I'm gonna get that mounted up. I'm gonna wire brush it, paint it a little bit, get it mounted up. I'll do the other side real quick, and then we'll come back and see how it works. Try this thing out. Isn't it? Maybe from the welding, but this is hitting here now. It doesn't want to let it close. That's cool. You have to figure that out. Looks like the either the tailgate got a little wider. Well, I know one thing. My tailgate cable setup works perfectly. I just got to figure out why the bed shifted this way. Feels pretty solid. And shake the truck with it. I could take these off now and get them out of my way. I kind of like them on. I like the classic look, but what you got to remember too is every time you want to open this tailgate, you got to unhook the chain. Unhook the chain, let the tailgate down, hook the chain into here. Men weren't such crybabies back then. It's not the sturdiest of areas on these old trucks. I'll tweak on it a little bit, I can get a little better. Let's see if I can mount a pole jack in there and do a little spreader action. I gotta see if there's bolts that I can tighten some more or adjust on the bottom. Let's try just putting a little load on it and see what happens. Drastic times call for drastic measures. Really be better with an assistant, but keep playing with it. I got to get this lined up because my next thing is to install the latches in the top here. Remember, I modified them in video. Let go. I modified them in video 2. They go in here, and we'll have to make a hole to mount them in there. But first, I want everything kind of squared up. The next thing we're going to do is put these hidden latches in. You want to get them at just the right height so it hits the reinforced metal. Up here, it's pretty weak sheet metal. This is double layered, so I'm gonna leave these brackets and stuff. I'm just gonna weld over this hole. I don't see any reason to take them out. It adds a little weight. These trucks are really light in the back already. It's not a racing truck, right? So I'll leave the weight in there. I'm not gonna lighten it. Might help keep things more rigid. I'll just weld it up, a little Bondo over that. Perfect. I'm leaving these here too. I thought they were some kind of structural reinforcement thing, but they're just for the chains. And they put this hole in there so it can go in there when it's up. Pretty simple, really. So you got to make your hole large enough to fit the diameter of the cylinder just barely. You want it snug. You don't want it flopping around in there because it's only held in by this screw and by the diameter of this hole. You also want this a little past the edge of the tailgate because it's going to take up quite a gap. This is the reinforced area. So if this is a little past the edge, it's going to barely engage and keep the tailgate up. So you got to be careful with that. They might have to make some modifications on these. This is going to be like a installation that we see how it goes. A lot of guys have done these and skipped over a lot of steps, I think. One guy had engineering plans and using micrometers, and the problem is all those measurements and marks are great, but when you're doing this kind of stuff by hand and you're not using a machine or a laser cutter, there's no point in having your measurements within 2/1000ths or 3/1000ths of an inch, because your accuracy with that is about a 32nd of an inch or so. That's just how I look at it. So I try to get it pretty close, get it to work, and make myself happy. That's all you can really do. So if you drill too high, then it'll want to drill this sheet metal here. We don't want to do that. We want to go just low enough that we can get this diameter to fit underneath. Matter of fact, my mark could come up a little bit. That makes a nice mark for you. That's what that's for. After you install this, you put it up, you snap these back and let go. Snap them back and let go, and it'll make a mark. You'll know where to drill for the pin. The pin is what moves out of the housing to keep your tailgate up. And I think it's only going to catch by like 1/8 of an inch when we're done. So you definitely don't want to make them sit nice and flush. You want to have them protrude just a little bit. And you do have to pull them back in order to close your tailgate. Otherwise it smashes into the paint. That's why I made these little notches in video 2, so that these will stay open. Like that. It's not a perfect science, and they barely stay open. But when it's in here, you have to match that notch. And the problem is, these are so short that they don't really want to let you do it. So I'm going to have to get longer versions of these. You can take this bolt out pretty easily. You can take this out pretty easily. Keep in mind too, there's a spacer I just threw on the ground. I was going to tell you, keep in mind there's a spacer in there, don't drop it. That's a little tricky too. When you're going in to the tailgate, you got to push this in, and you got to get this and the spacer in here without dropping it into your tailgate. You also want to be careful that you don't drop this whole contraption in your tailgate while you're fishing it out of the holes, testing everything and all that. You drop it in your tailgate, you're going to have a heck of a time getting it back out. You probably have to take the tailgate off. Just be a little cautious of that. I made some marks here. I've got a center line. I've got the marker for where the bolt hole is, and I do have this out past my tailgate edge, and I've got a marker for where this slot starts and ends. It's also on the same center line, and then for my notch. And like I said, it doesn't really work because of how short this is, but we'll correct all that later on. For now, I just want to get it mounted up. So what we do is we drill a hole for the mounting bolt. Now you can use a center punch if you want. I haven't had too much trouble getting it pretty centered on a flat sheet metal piece. If you're drilling something a little harder, then you definitely want a center punch. And that's going to be for the slide pin. Now the more you drill out of here, the less you have to do with your carbide bits. It is 2 layers of sheet metal, so the carbide bits go through it pretty quick, really. This is a couple of layers. It'll fight you. Don't overdo it. Not even close yet, but I'm gonna stop and check every once in a while. I do have a habit of closing my eyes when I blow on metal chips like that too. I am wearing glasses as well. Should really be wearing safety glasses or face shield, but the step bit's kind of awkward because it's larger than this. When the hole is sitting flush, the next step wants to hit it. So you got to be a little cautious of that. And I think the rest of the way I go with the burr. Just because of the step hitting this, you see it's starting to cut it a little bit. Because this is tapered, I'm trying to keep it flat around the outside of the hole. Oh man, we are close. There it is. Perfect. I also have to clean these up. That should have us in the ballpark. Fits pretty well. The hole has to be larger in the tailgate than it is in the tool in the latch, because the latch is so far below it. About I don't know, I guess it's about 80 thousandths, maybe 100 thousandths. I'll show you why the short pin that comes with it doesn't really work. I'm not sure why they give it to you this short. I do have to make my hole a little larger. You see how short that is? It's dragging because my hole's not quite large enough yet. I want to keep that spacer, and I need to take some more off of this side of the hole. I'm not going to do it with the latch in there. It's a process. Now to have an idea of how much I've removed, I'll take some off the first beginning edge and then just match it all the way down. If you start just going back and forth, you won't be aware of how much you're removing, right? You could mark it ahead of time if you want to take another 10 thousandths, 20 thousandths, but I'll try it again. Get this fit just right. A lot of trial and error. I might have to put it in 3 or 4 times, maybe 5, to get it to fit right and operate. So I'll tinker with this a little bit. We'll get the hole just the right size to get it to function. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Once I'm sure it fits right, make sure it's not going to rust. Blew out just with some shop air. We'll give it a little coat of bed liner, assemble everything, and then I can do the holes in the bed panel, quarter panels last. Let's install this. I think it's dry enough now. Now obviously, if you're building a $250,000 truck, you're going to have these edges just a little closer. This still has to be further away just because fulcrum point. So it's further away, it's going to have to be bigger. There's not much you can do about it, no matter how much your truck is worth. No matter what level of truck you're building. Everyone has their own level. Nothing wrong with that. See, this doesn't even clear to let you get to the latch, but it is good enough for us to get in there and make our marks, drill at the bed. You gotta go like this, get it closed. Technically, I don't even have to drill holes, although it'll make some noise and not be tight. That there should give you some marks. Lower the tailgate and drill them out. And you can see the mark it made in there, I hope. Just gonna drill them out. We'll see how it works. And this lip here actually works too. So if it does come out of the hole, which doesn't seem to, it's not like it's gonna hold it very much, it looks like, but we'll see. But this will also help, so it won't flop open by mistake. If it does, you got your sweet new cables to keep it from opening too far. Now they give you a rubber grommet to put in there. It's really cute. I mean, that rubber grommet's not gonna last. The intentions are good behind that, but it's just soft little rubber grommet. It's to make you feel better, I guess. I'm not sure what the plan is with that, but feel free to make the hole big for that. I'm gonna make the hole fit the pin and adjust it very slightly where I think I need to, and not gonna use rubber bushings. Oh, we might be finishing this up just in time. Here comes the rain. I sprayed a little solvent in here to get the drilling oils and things out of there, and I'll hit that probably also with some of that bed coating. And that bed coating stuff's not the greatest. It's out of a spray can. It's not going to be as thick as you really need it, but it's great for touch-ups. And once the truck's all painted, we'll redo the bed lining. I'm going to let that set up a little bit and see how this thing works. All right, now I'll show you what I had to do to make that work. That's what we do on this channel. The good thing about hot rod stuff is, see how this is sticking out? This side wasn't coming out far enough to get to the hole. I notched the actual tool, the actual latch, the stainless part inside the gate. I notched it a little further out so that this would go a little further out. When you're modifying stuff, sky's the limit. You can modify anything. Now once I get the longer knobs on here, I'll be able to lock it open a little bit, but for now I just have to close it like this. Two hands. That's it. Not going anywhere, not going to rattle or anything either. So it's actually better than the factory was, because the factory one rattled. What we're going to do next is I'm going to try to find a bolt to cut the head off of it, thread it in there, so it's less welding to do. I'm going to cut this flush, weld around that, and then we're going to start stripping this tailgate area. This is the last of the original patina on the truck, other than the little bit. I painted that with spray cans a long time ago, so that's already been touched by me too. This is going to no longer resemble the truck it used to be once this is done. So let's get that cut off, find a stud that we can put in there of some kind, and weld up. Come on, Milwaukee. What are you doing? This isn't even a complicated task, I didn't think. Got it. Time to go from rust remover to metal remover. Pretty worn out one, but it's perfect for just this kind of catastrophe. I mean, repair or job, whatever you want to call it. Oh man, that's gonna be nice. Still gotta find a stud for that. The less welding, the better. All right, got my studs all dressed up. The stud's flat with the panel here, and this is recessed. Used a wire wheel on a drill, just cleaned up all the old paint and bonder that was in there pretty much. So now, I'll put some welds, grind that smooth, paint it. I mean, almost. Question is, where are you going to grab it from? Might have to be tricky with this one. Boy, if you could see how pretty that was up close. Ha, just kidding. All right, feeling pretty good about that. I'm gonna throw a little bit of brown primer I happen to have. Matches to like have the time to sand this tailgate down because I'm tired, it's Sunday. All right, got my longer knobs and some brass spacers so that now I can do my stuff, close my tailgate back up. A couple guys made fun of my washers. I'm like, you don't understand hot rodding. There it is. It's another big step. Happy with the way that turned out. I hope it can help you guys out. If you're looking to do this on your 60 to 66 Chevy truck or any truck that has tailgate chains, I think they did that to like what, 78 or so. Really not complicated. Hopefully my little video will help you with some of the pitfalls. A lot of trial and error, a lot of test fitting, things like that. So it's the first time I've ever done it, but I've been a mechanic for over 40 years and tend to figure things out. That's why my channel's called Making It Work. So I figured I would do it and document it and help somebody out, I hope. Let me know in the comments below if it helped you. Torque the like button if you're new here on your way out. Maybe subscribe. Day in the shop is our specialty. That's what we do. Every weekday I take you to work with me if you want to see those videos, but I also have tons of project truck how-to videos, tool reviews, things like that too. So definitely worth subscribing if you haven't yet. Sorry for the long outro we call it in the business, but I hope I see you in another video because you're awesome.